everyone, I'm Jessica Lee from IB1P, and today I'll be sharing about some lessons I've learned from my bakery internship that I feel can be applied in life. In fact, you don't need an internship to realize some of these lessons, and it would be even more beneficial if you understood them within these 2 years of school. In Asia, there's a strong belief that if you fail to achieve academic awards or be as academically proficient as your friends and family, then you're useless as a person and useless to society. But without an average, there can be no best. That's why we need to define for ourselves our own set of reasonable goals and take time to figure out our motivations. Mine is to enjoy the process, even with its hardships. 2 years ago, I joined HCIS, but struggled with depression and anxiety. School left me with few good memories and little to no hopes. Mr. Chiangki suggested taking a gap year, and so I did, with the intention to return fully cured and ready to take on the rigor of the IB curriculum. But 2 years later, I find myself still struggling with executive dysfunction, fear of failure, and perfectionism. The broken robot remained unrepaired. My internship has made me realize this though. Fear, difficulties, personal problems, they most likely always remain, because what is life if not like the upward and downward graph of the business cycle? I spent 1 month in baking and in cooking and service, and 8 months as a pastry chef intern under the patient guidance of my chef mentor, Chef Sui Fan. 3 of those months was also spent preparing for the UIBC International Baking Competition held in Berlin that year. Chef Sui Fan barely had a primary school education. She had to work to support her family and left for Singapore alone. She worked as a laundromat, a drink store owner, and as a baker. Her resilience taught me that even without a high level of education, you can still live a fulfilling life. In 2021, I made this for my mother's birthday. As you can see, it was a melted puddle of gelatinized mess with slanted layers and heavily resembled a Sleeping Beauty cake. I wanted to trash it, and I messaged my mom telling her that she wouldn't get a cake for her birthday. But I still managed to salvage it. 3 months later, I produced this cake on the left within a day for a competition, which I won, which I was very happy for. And then last August, I made the cake on the right for my father's birthday. By that time, my technical mastery had improved by leaps and bounds to an understanding of the ingredients and their percentages, as well as an intuition to know whether a recipe might need changing. The cake for my father, the recipe did not seem very stable, so I personally added some gelatin. Holiday periods were also intense, and I can't decide for myself whether my memories are fond when I had been standing hunched over a table for hours, cutting and decorating cakes, or punching out millions of pineapple tarts during Chinese New Year. Training for the competition was exhausting, and my friends and I had to master various breads and viennoiserie. But where am I going with this? Well, my first lesson is the importance of building your self-confidence, patience, and that growth mindset. School will often talk about a growth mindset as something to achieve, but the steps to get there are often unclear and perhaps nonsensical when you're spending so many hours slogging and slaving, just chasing for some external validation. I want to make it easier to understand. The growth mindset is simply to keep persevering. Failure is nothing special. It's just a part of the process. When you fail to achieve awards, or you fail to be as perfect as you want to be, you get demoralized. The first thing you need to understand and internalize is the old idiom, Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't expect yourself to master something immediately or within a short period of time. And though you know this, your internal expectations don't. That's why you're always left feeling disappointed in yourself. So you need to give yourself the time, space, and patience to accept your mistakes so that you can see your progress in the long run. And all you need to do is be consistent and identify those mistakes, so that the next time you tackle the problem, you have adjusted your approach. Now, you may not get it right the next time that you do it, and you may not get it right the 10th time either, but eventually you will. There was a cake that plagued me when I first began. It was a double chocolate cheesecake composed of a cream cheese layer, and then a cream cheese and chocolate mousse, and a chocolate ganache dome. Now, there was this one instance when I forgot to put the cream cheese inside the chocolate mousse, and then put my chocolate mousse inside the mold. Now, this made it unsalvageable, and I panicked. I talked to my chef, I called her and texted her frantically. I was desperate for a solution, desperate for someone to come and save me. But in the end, the answer was as I thought it would be. Start from scratch. There was another instance. I tried to recreate that swirled ganache dome, and my ganache was either too hard, too runny, not domed enough, the ganache even separated, or my swirls were messy. I scraped that layer off so many times until my cake dwindled in height. My chef witnessed me crying and told me to stop. She said that I was underestimating their career, and unless I had as much experience as them, I shouldn't cry over my first few mistakes. Sometimes an influx of orders would arrive at the bakery, and I would have to make decisions. Another time, customers would come in demanding a cake within 30 minutes. This happens so frequently. I had to make decisions once again. Can I make a thick cake within 30 minutes? Which one should I make? Can I make the chocolate cut legibly? And can I even make the promise that it'll be done in time to a standard that is expected of me? As you can see, there will be times where I always make mistakes, but you still need to learn to keep going on. And when there's a long list of things that you have to do, you don't have time to think. You just do. Chef Sui Fan would tell me, 敢敢做, just do it. The first thing that comes to your mind first, do it first. Don't procrastinate, because fear prolongs procrastination. 5 months after this, my chef returned to Malaysia for 10 days, entrusting me with production. I was apprehensive. What if I messed up so badly even a miracle couldn't save me? And I did mess up, but my ability to handle operations relatively smoothly proved to me that I could do it. My chefs always believed in me, but as I'm sure most of you know, it is our minds that need the most convincing. In the end, my weakness has always been my lack of self-confidence. Perhaps this will sound odd, but croissants taught me much about patience and trusting your intuition. They require a keen awareness of butter, body, dough, environment, and machine temperatures. You need a keen intuition to know whether your butter and dough were equally flexible and when your croissants were ready to bake. There was this one time when my chef was in a rush. It was in the evening, and he had a big batch of croissants he needed to laminate. Now, croissants are very weird because they can sense your stress, and should you happen to make them when you're stressed, the risk of failure increases. You'd think the story ends here, to just trust your intuition, everything will be fine, but it does not, because we all make mistakes. What could not be recycled as croissants was turned into oat dough to add flavor to the next batch of croissants or brioche. This is a skill of problem solving. Even though the outcome may be as what you hoped, it still takes strength to keep going no matter that outcome. My second main lesson is this: have a support network. The people that you work with and study with, they influence your attitude towards work and life. There would be days when my depression was worse, and I was unwilling to go to work, unwilling to even wake up. And other than the responsibility to make sure that I didn't let my coworkers down, the positive attitude and encouragement of my chefs made work more bearable. We can't exactly control our workplace environments either, but a good place will contain people who are willing to help you make mistakes and learn from them so that you can grow from your uncertainties. Training was exhausting after 10 hours of work. Sarah had to study for her O-level examinations. For those of you who don't know, that's Singapore's national examinations for 16-year-olds. Adianti had to work to support her family. So all of us could only start training after 7 p.m. or even 8. When lethargy hit at 11 p.m. or 12 a.m., sometimes even 1 or 2, we would sing and joke around and fight with our baguettes. Keep some humor in your lives. It will keep you going. Keep your friends close too. You'll be each other's lifelines. Now, I know firsthand that this isn't easy to understand. For a long time, you may not. In the midst of a breakdown, I don't either. It doesn't make sense to a mind and body that has shut down. So, don't compare yourself to others. And don't expect yourself to be fully functioning 100% of the time. Even though you think that's just 50% of your capabilities, that's still 100% of that day. And rely on your friends. You all need each other. Those 2 girls beside me are Sarah and Adianti, followed by our chef trainer, Chef Judy. And although I didn't participate in the competition, since it was a two-person competition, I was very glad to have found a team that I love so dearly. If you woke up overnight as your highest self, you actually probably wouldn't know what to do with it. How many of you can confidently tell me that you would know what to do with yourself? That's why working with ourselves is a life's work. The distance between the you now and the future you know you can be are simply the lessons in between. Thank you.